To the therapy session.
But in fact, you almost act out something from your past. Is
Correct.
that the way
we don't talk about it. We don't sit there and talk about what happened.
Right.
We experience what happened, and we get to, by bringing it into the here and now, the person gets to do it differently. If they were an 8-year-old child and something happened to them, like say a marriage broke up, and they had a very strong feelings about what happened, but they were just an 8-year-old. And every time they tried to say something about it, well, maybe mommy was already in tears, and you know.
Whereas now, you can do it, but you will have a say.
Exactly.
Because you're dealing with it, even though you're dealing with a scene from the past, you're dealing with it as an adult, and therefore you can deal with it in the way that you feel you should have if you had the ability.
Exactly. You're dealing with it as an adult, but also you're going back and supporting that 8-year-old that didn't have any support.
Indeed. Now, one of the things I noticed particularly about your book, and I must say I found very impressive, was the fact that unlike many books like this, you actually put yourself into the stories.
Yes.
You started each one out, you talked about your dad, you talked about your mum, you talked about what you call sibling struggles. By doing that, I think that it actually opens up much more this whole area to those of us who wouldn't necessarily be terribly aware of it. Were you aware of that yourself when you were doing it, putting yourself into the book?
Well, my endeavor in writing this book was to make it as readable and as accessible to the average person as possible. So I wanted, and I also wanted to let people to know that, you know, psychotherapists are human beings. And we're not authorities on other people, but we are authorities on ourselves and also on a particular therapeutic approach. So I wanted to share, by sharing about my own story, I could show that healing is possible.
Yeah.
I can also show that, hey, I'm not setting myself up as superior to or inferior to. I'm just another human being with particular skills and techniques.
When you do one of these situations, when you reenact one of these situations, is it a group or could it possibly be one-to-one? Could you assume the role of a person from someone else's past?
If we wanted to, we could do a psychodrama right now.
Oh,
but
no. Thankfully, I am very, very well balanced and I have no problems, thank God, in that regard.
Well, now, I want to take just a little point with that. Wait a minute. Psychotrauma is not necessarily for people that have, I mean, it helps with major life traumas, yes, but the ordinary person living on planet Earth today has been through traumas, they've been through bruising, if not deep wounds. You know, you can't live on planet Earth and not have experienced
But will
hurts.
people come to you who I mean, if people are going about their daily lives and things are okay and they feel fine, are they going to come to you, or do you generally find that the people who do come to you are people who do have problems in some way?
I think that more and more, especially in Ireland, I think people are becoming very open to the fact that they want their lives to be as whole and as healthy as possible. And they're aware, I mean, Christmas is coming up. People are aware if they're, oh God, I'm gonna have to see Catherine again. And the last time I saw her, I mean, it was that silent row, and how am I going to deal with that if Christmas is coming? Well, this is something that the book would even help. Now, the book also addresses issues like sexual abuse or struggles with sexual identity, alcoholism, addiction, loss of a loved one, hurts that people received that they feel like they're struggling in terms of the church.
And again, I stress, you've been through quite a lot of this yourself.
Yes.
Which again, I think is very
in the
interesting.
book.
Because this is what I'm saying, because you've been through much of this yourself, you can relate very easily to people who would present themselves in this way.
I would. And
forgiveness is very important, isn't it?
Yes, forgiveness, acceptance is essential.
Yes.
But one doesn't get to acceptance right away. I mean, there is a process, and part of the process is anger, part of the process is hurt, and then part of the process is, I don't care. You know, didn't bother me. And then one comes to acceptance.
But is healing always possible, do you think?
Healing is the natural flow of the universe.
Yeah.
The natural purpose of the universe is touched on in healing. I mean, when somebody gets an injury, a cut, the body, the mystery of creation starts happening immediately after the wound occurs to begin the healing process. The same thing happens to us when we have an emotional wound or a spiritual wound. So the good news is that everybody that's been wounded in any way is already healing. They may not be conscious of it. They may not have joined and be cooperating with the healing process. You know,